welcome back to Sophie's Sofa. Today we have a very special guest. Her name is Victoria De Cardenas. I know her as Vicky. You might know her as XO Vicky Marie on Instagram. Beautiful person, and best part, she's a fellow Cane. She graduated from and is now the evening anchor at WGXA News in Georgia, as well as dabbling in blogging. So very well-rounded person. Thank you so much for being here, Vicky.
Thank you so much. You're very sweet. Yeah, I do quite a few things here.
Which is good. It's good to stay busy, especially right now.
Yeah.
For sure. So I want to start off with your process as the last semester in up until how you got to where you are today, like your first jobs and just basically how you got to be the evening anchor in Georgia.
Sure. So this route that I've taken is not a straight line. There have been some bumps in the road and stuff. So starting off with my last semester there, I was a transfer student. So I had to catch up to everyone else. So I was on double time. So by the time the last semester rolled around, I had to have a reel and I had to start applying for jobs because it takes a really long time to hear back. So I was applying from January all the way until May of 2017 when I graduated to get jobs. And I didn't hear from anyone until literally the day before graduation. I heard that I got a job as a production assistant in Savannah, Georgia, which is where I wanted to start off because, as you know, TV markets are really hard to get into, especially bigger ones, for example, like Miami. So you kind of have to leave those bigger cities and go to a smaller city, hence Savannah. Right. So I was in Savannah for about 6 months. They had made some promises to me that I was going to be on air, and those were not being fulfilled. So I said, I have to get out of here. I'm giving myself a timeline. So I applied to the next smaller city, which is Macon, Georgia, and I started off as a reporter there in January of 2018. So within 8 months from there, reporting my butt off, being out in the cold, chasing fugitives all over counties, chasing fires that have happened. I worked really hard and I got promoted to morning anchor. And it's honestly because I asked that one day, hey, can I fill in when so-and-so is out? And they said, sure, why not? And so after those 8 months of being a reporter, I was then promoted to morning anchor and I worked my butt off yet again. I was still reporting on and off. And then just about a month ago, I was then again promoted to evening anchor just because I asked. So I think the moral of the story is ask and speak it into existence. I never thought I would be an anchor. I thought I was going to be a reporter for a really long time, but you just have to ask and put yourself out there and work really hard. This job is not glamorous. So anyone who wants to be in TV, it's not glamorous. Right. But long story short, kind of long, that's my story of how I got to be on TV.
And that's so different because a lot of people just wait till it's kind of their turn and they wait for it to be approached. And I think what's important that I'm realizing now, talking to, Chelsea, you remember Chelsea, we talk a lot about how we're going to get into the business and get better and all this. And we get scared to do the first thing. Like, she's always like, reach out to NBC in Miami, do all this stuff first so they see that you're interested. And I feel like intimidating being like, hey, do you want to hire me? But you have to put that foot forward, I think, to move on in any aspect of life. So props to you for like asking that day. I would have been so scared. I would have been, maybe not get a good idea.
I think, it's hard. This business is not for the lighthearted. You have to have some tough skin, some thick skin. But I think if you just ask, and it scared the living daylights out of me to even ask to, hey, can I fill in on this holiday that so-and-so is taking off? But I was like, if I don't try, I'll never know.
Right.
So I think you have to take a chance on not only yourself, but also your career. I still am in touch with internships that I did years ago, and I still send them my stuff and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And they may say it's total crap, you have to work on it. Or they're like, that's good, work on this and do less of this. And so I just have to put myself out there constantly. Right. So it's not an easy job.
Right, for sure. And going into a new job out of college, this is something I personally always wondered. Do news stations in general, the ones that you've been in, do they give you kind of like a rundown of how things work there? Because when I interned at NBC, I walk in and like all the programs that they use are so different from what I was used to at and I'm just like, if they were to hire me as a reporter, I wouldn't know the first thing about how to use their editing software and all this. So do these different stations that you went to, do they offer like some type of way to get your foot in the door and help you with that, or do you learn everything on your own?
So it's kind of half and half. When I was working in Savannah, I had Edius. I had never used Edius before. So being a production assistant, for those of you who don't know, is when you're just behind the scenes, you're either manning the cameras, you're doing audio, graphics, you know, everything kind of in producing, sort of. So I had no idea. So I just sat with someone, and it was also part of my training to learn Edius, since I had to cut video for them. But then when I came to WGXA in Macon, I had to learn Avid. Avid is the worst thing I've ever used in my entire life. But it was also part of the training. I think it just depends on each station on how long your training period is. But you also, it's kind of baptism by fire, where they're like, okay, we need you to cut this VOSOT, which is a VO and a sound on tape, and put it for the show. And you're like, what? And so you kind of just have to do it. But it is a little bit of both. They teach you the basics, and if you want to learn more, either you learn it on your own or you ask somebody who has a little bit more knowledge about it. So it's kind of like a delicate balance, but they do teach you, for lack of a better word, the rundown of how the station works or the story works. So it is a bit of both.
Got it. And I think you have to have the incentive to maybe outside of work, Google things. Like I know, example for Premiere, even though I've been using it for 4 years, I'm constantly Googling how to do different things. And I think it's because I want to be better once I'm thrown into the fire like that. With Premiere, hopefully, I just hope that whatever station I go uses Premiere, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so now being Hispanic in Georgia. I don't know why this topic is so interesting to me, because in Miami, I don't even feel like I'm different, you know? But I feel like Georgia might be a little bit different. So what have you noticed that you've experienced, and is it good, is it bad, like being Cuban in a predominantly white city or state?
Yeah, it is pretty interesting because, like you know, I have red hair, I have freckles, I'm a fair complexion, so I don't look like if I'm Hispanic, even though there's not really a look. But people know that I'm not from here. I don't know if it's from my accent. I don't have that Southern drawl. I got rid of my Miami accent, but when I'm with my friends, she comes out, right? But but I think it's been okay. I think it also just because of my looks, like I look like I fit in. But once people find out and see my mannerisms, they're like, wait, you're not from here. I can't figure it out where you're from, but you're not from here. And as soon as I say Miami, they're like, oh, I get it. And then when I say I'm Cuban, they're like, wait, what? So it's been okay for me. I like to assimilate to where I am because my mannerisms, as you know, from Miami, we're loud, we're boisterous, we're kind of all over the place. And here, things are a bit mellow. So you kind of have to get used to where you are and realize, yeah, you are talking a bit loud in the grocery store. Maybe you can turn it down, but it hasn't really been that different for me. I think it's more of lifestyle. There's things that I'm not used to, you know, going to the corner store and seeing my people, having to use English instead of Spanish when I go to the stores. I tell people that in Miami, you know, we speak Spanish 90% of the time. And they're like, what? It's just part of the beast, right? But it hasn't been too bad. It was a bit of a culture shock moving to Savannah, though. I'm fine now.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear. And I like how you said like assimilating into their culture, but you still stay strong into like your culture. And I think it's finding the balance between both, because then you have different things to bring to the table, and you have like fun facts at a party. You have great icebreakers, like, yeah, I'm the only redhead, my family, and I'm Cuban, and then everyone's like, whoa, and everyone's like, that starts, you know, a conversation. So it's pretty, it's a best of both worlds in a way.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk back into news. What would you say is the best parts of being an evening anchor, and what is the worst parts, or just working the TV business in general?
So I think I mentioned it already, you know, this job is not glamorous. You know, we put on a pretty picture. We wrap everything that we've worked on into a bow. You know this very well, but a lot of people who ask me about what I do are very starstruck, are very awestruck with like, wait, that much goes into what you put in. And I say, yeah. So it's not glamorous. We're working around the clock. But there are so many positives being a person that turns on the TV and your audience trusts you and trusts what you're saying. There's something very special and very fragile about that. And I love that. I love being the person that people come to because they trust with the news and what's going on in their community. Being an evening anchor, it's a bit different from morning. I literally work the opposite shift. So I used to wake up at 2:30 or in the morning to be at work at 3, leave by 11 in the morning. But now I'm coming in at 2:30 in the afternoon and staying until 11 o'clock at night. So with the morning, I would leave by 11 in the morning and have the whole day. But now I have only a certain part of the daytime, and then I have to go to work when by the time I get home, everything's closed.
Right.
So there's like pros and cons, but the stories that you hear from people, the lives that you impact with journalism and being on TV is so incredible. Following people's stories is so touching and such a humbling experience because you realize how different we may feel, but how similar we all are in what we want and the stories that we want to tell. So it is such a rewarding job. It is a tough job. Like I said, it's not for the lighthearted. You have to have that thick skin, and if you don't, you will earn it. But it is such a fun job. I love what I do. It puts a smile on my face, as you can tell right now, but it's amazing. There's a lot of great things.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. It makes me so excited for when I'm kind of more in the real world of broadcast. It sucks because right now everything's like on a halt. So I see it far away, but it still excites me. And like following people like you who've already made it technically, you know, it's inspiring to me for sure, 100%. Okay,
Awesome.
so in the next couple of years, where do you kind of see yourself going? Do you want to grow within your community, or do you want to go to a bigger market, or what's your game plan?
So, my goal is to come back to Miami. I love Miami. That's where I fell in love with news, and I interned at some great stations that I've made awesome connections with. So I want to go back and keep those connections. So once my contract is out, because as you know, we're contracted out each position that you have. Once that's done, I really want to make my way to Miami. And I'm a big believer in speaking things into existence. And I am going to Miami. I believe it. I said I was going to be a reporter. I had said one day I want to be an anchor, and I've done both of those things. So I really want to work towards going towards Miami. If I can't make it to Miami straight after Macon, I want to at least be back in Florida, close enough to where I can feel Miami in my reach. So that is really my goal when it comes to the news business.
Awesome. And hearing you say that, I feel like I relate so much, because since I didn't go away, I'm from Miami, right? I didn't go away for college. And although I loved my college experiences, much of a college experience as I could have, I always knew that there was a huge possibility that I would want to go and experience life somewhere else and have like the early young adult experience somewhere else, and then eventually come back and settle down in Miami. Like that's always been my plan. So hearing you have the same plan, I'm like, girl, I feel you, that I want the same exact thing. And that way I can get a little bit out of Miami to appreciate it more, and then appreciate it even more when I get back. So for sure. Okay, so last thing, let's end up on a person like me, a senior graduating, or someone who's going to graduate soon. What is the top advice you'd give them when it comes to starting to apply to jobs and looking for their new life outside of school?
I think the first piece of advice I would give you is be patient. And it's really hard because I feel for everyone who's graduating in 2020, you guys have been robbed of an experience that is once in a lifetime, really, right? You know, you're graduating from high school, you're graduating from college, and you don't get to relive those moments. But be patient. It's really hard with this right now, but like I told you, I was applying for 5 months and I didn't hear back until the day before graduation. And that's when I knew I was going to have a job somewhere else. Speak things into existence, like I said, and take a chance on yourself and take a chance on your career. Move out if you can. Like you, I was born and raised in Miami. I went to Miami-Dade College and then I transferred to UM. So I didn't have that experience of living outside of the wonderfully built home by my parents.
Yeah.
So you have to experience that. Maybe you don't have to move all the way to Georgia. You don't have to go to California, but maybe move a few hours away from them and see yourself grow as a person. And you'll really see the strengths that you have that you probably have never tapped into before. So just believe in yourself. And it sounds so cheesy to say, but say it out loud. Write your goals down and see them every day when you wake up, and believe in what you're saying. You have to believe in yourself. That's half the battle, right? And then you'll keep going and you'll see things happening. I'm telling you, I don't think if it wasn't for me speaking it out loud and honestly my faith, I don't think I would be where I'm at right now. And hard work. Don't think that things are going to fall on your lap. You have to put in the work. You have to get down and dirty. You have to cut things from the cutting room floor, you know, and go with that. But try, you know, believe in yourself. As corny as that is, but it's true.
Yeah. Sometimes it's so simple, and that's why people kind of get overwhelmed, because the first thing you think about of getting a job is believing in yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's the simple things that people forget, which are the things that work. So I think it's definitely important to keep it simple, but, you know, believe in yourself and focus on an end goal and make sure that every day you do something towards that end goal. So very inspiring.
Yeah. It looks really nice to see, you know, when someone is already there in the position that you may want, but you have to realize there was a lot of steps before that, before they even got to that position. So I want people like you who are just starting into this business, like, I may be in this certain ranking, but I did X amount of steps to get there first. And you don't document all of that. I mean, maybe you do, like I journal every day and I document it there, but my friends don't see that. What I put on Instagram is not showing that. So there is hard work every single day. Even if you miss a day, that's fine, but you have to work on it, like you said, every single day.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for sitting on Sophie's virtual sofa. I enjoyed it a lot. Definitely inspiring for me. So thank you so much. One day I will visit you in Georgia for sure. Maybe you can get me a job.
Please do.
Just talk to your people.
I know some people.
Awesome. All righty. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time on Sophie Sofa.